Today, guys, what we're going to be doing is continuing with Chapter 6, Section 5, dealing with translations of sine and cosine functions. What I'd like you to do, right above number 4, is we're going to write y equals a cosine b theta minus c plus d. And this should help us identify what is our value for a, what is our value for b, what is our value for c, what is our value for d. Okay. Obviously our a is a half. Our b is simply the number 2. The c value, see how it says minus c in the formula? It says minus pi. So what is our c value actually equal to? The value of pi. It says plus d, it says plus 2. So our d value is actually just number 2. So now we have a, b, c, and d. Now, what are the easiest ones to find over here? What are the easiest ones? Amplitude. What is our amplitude? Amplitude is simply a half. Because remember, the amplitude is equal to the absolute value of our a value. And the absolute value of a half is still just a half. Okay. What's the other easy? No? The vertical shift. The vertical shift is just whatever the d value is. So that vertical shift is just a 2. Now there's a formula for the period. Okay? The formula for the period, I'm going to put the formula right here. The period is equal to 2 pi over v. So we're going to use that formula, all right? And the phase shift is equal to the c value divided by the v value. Okay? So we always start, we're going to start with finding the period first. All right? Let's find the period. So we go over here. Okay? I'm going to write the formula for the period. 2 pi over v. Well, what is our v value? Our v value was the number 2. 2 divided by 2, those cancel out. So what is our period equal to? Pi. So you put this equals pi. That would be your answer. It's like a half is your answer. Number 2 is your answer. Phase shift. Remember, this right here is the formula for the period. Now I'm going to do the formula for the phase shift. And the phase shift deals basically with the translation left or right. Okay? So going up or down, left or right. So the phase shift formula is the c value over the v value. Okay? Well, do we know the c value? What is the c value? Pi. Do we know the v value? Huh. That wasn't hard. Look. Right here. It's the c value divided by the v value. So what is our phase shift? Pi over 2. And that's your answer for the phase shift. Now what does that mean? That means this, right? That normally, if you started out right here, let's say this is where you started. This is not where you started. But if you started here and you had a phase shift of pi over 2, you would go from here to right there. Because that distance is pi. I've already said it. It's pi over 2. Here we go. Pi over 2. This right here, everybody, is 3 pi over 2. This is negative pi over 2, and this is negative 3 pi over 2. Okay? So we found the amplitude, the period, the phase shift, and the vertical shift just by looking at what? Looking at our equation. All right? Looking at our function. So, when we're graphing this, the first thing I want you to do is look at the vertical shift. This gives you your midline. All right? What is our midline going to be? Our midline is going to be at y equals 2. That's right here. I'm going to write line. It's going to go straight through the middle of the graph. So right here, with your ruler, if you would please, make a nice little dotted line right here at 2. Nice and straight, just like that. That's our midline. Now this is where it gets tricky. The amplitude is at a half, right? So this is where it's going to be really tough because, wow, I got to go a half up. So I'm going right there between the 2 and the 3. And I got to go a half down. It's going to make this graph really, really narrow. But we can do it. All right, so go and graph it, just like that. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our graphic calculator, go to the window button. Okay. Now we're going to start at negative 2 pi. That's going to be our x minimum. Our x maximum is going to be positive 2 pi. Okay. Our x scale, I want you to write pi divided by 2. You can see just the calculator spits out the approximate value of it. All right, the y minimum, I realize it goes, I think it goes from like negative 4 on your paper to positive 4. Okay. And then we're going to hit graph. Take a look at it. But hold on, we've got to type our equation to that be helpful. Okay. Let's type in our equation. That was the sine of x there. Our equation says what? 1 divided by 2 cosine, and we're going to type in 2x instead of 2 theta. We're going to say minus the value of pi. We're going to close the parentheses and get a vertical shift of 2, right? All right, and hit graph. There's your graph right there. Okay? Now, oh, to get to the grid, go second, zoom, then go over here to turn the grid line on. Here looks different. Okay, we go back to the graph. All right, so here's our graph. What I'd like to do next is go ahead and hit y equals. Let's plot our midline, or graph our midline, which is y equals 2. That was our midline. Hit graph. Look what you're able to see. You're able to see that goes straight through, correct? Now, look at our tick marks. I'm just going to look, how do I get that graph looking nice and neat on our paper, right? Let's go to our calculator. Let's think about some things here. Right here is pi over 2. Right here is pi. 3 pi over 2. 2 pi. So let's think about this. At pi over 2, I've kind of maxed out right here. This is a 1, this is a 2, this is 2.5. See, I'm right here, I'm at 2.5. And at pi, I'm at a 1.5. So what I'm going to do is, it looks like at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2, those are where it crests. That's what the crest, right? This is the trough. Let me go back. So right here at pi over 2, I want you to put a point right here. All right. At 3 pi over 2, put another point straight up, right here. And right here at pi, put a point right there. So see how this is your height, this is your crest, there's your trough. Now, right directly in between them, that's where it zeroes out, doesn't it? It zeroes out right there, and it zeroes out right here. I'll go back so you can take a look at your graphing calculator. See where the zeros are? See how the zeros are actually where? In between 0 and pi. So technically, right here, this would be actually at a pi over 4. If you asked me where the 0 was. Well, actually where it crosses the midline. So where it touches that midline. Let's go ahead and transfer this over. So right here, it's going to cross the midline right here at a pi over 4. And it's going to bottom out right here. It's going to cross the midline. It's going to get all the way up to a 2.5. Across the midline. Goes down to 1.5. And that allows you to be able to make a nice, neat graph. And then at this point, all you do, go and do it in green so you can see a little bit different color. Goes up, back down. down. Okay. And there's your graph. So we go back. Starts here, finishes here. Starts there, finishes there. All right? So basically, I want to make sure you understand how to use your graphing calculator to help you be able to plot those points correctly. All right? And by the way, that's the final answer for number 4. I wanted a graph, and I wanted the amplitude, the period, the phase shift, and the vertical shift. All right, so we'll look at number 5 so you can see how to do that problem right here. It says, write an equation of the specified function with each amplitude, period, phase shift, and vertical shift. And we're trying to do a sine function. Okay, so we'll put this one in your journal. I want you guys to write y equals a sine, open parentheses, b, theta, minus c, close parentheses, plus d. All right, so we need to figure out what a is, what b is, what c is, and what d is. B, the formula you're going to help find b. All right, we'll put the right here. This is dealing with the concept of the period. So remember, the formula for the period is 2 pi over b. So when we're looking for b, make sure you use this formula to help you find b. All right? Now, the c value right here is dealing with the phase shift. Okay, that's going to help. Remember, it helps you find the phase shift. The c value is not the phase shift, but there is a formula that you're going to use. And what is the phase shift formula? C over b. Okay, so whenever you guys are trying to find the value for c, make sure you're using this formula. Okay. Now, what are the 2 easy ones to find? A, right? So A could be 15 or A could be negative 15 because the absolute value of 15 or the absolute value of negative 15 is still the amplitude of 15. The D value is pretty easy. The vertical shift is just a what? Negative 10. So we already know it's going to be minus 10 at the end, right? This is the part where you got to figure out how am I going to find B? What formula are we going to use to find B? 2 pi over B. And the formula for C, we're going to use C over B to help us find those numbers. So there we go. Let's find B right now. What's the period of our function? The period is equal to what? 4 pi. That's what it's equal to. So the period is 4 pi over 1. What's the formula for the period? 2 pi over b. So by doing this, I can cross multiply, and what am I allowed to solve for? Solve for b. So what are our cross products? 4 pi times b is 4 pi times b. 2 pi times 1 is 2 pi. What do I have to divide both sides by? To solve for b? 4 pi, that's right. These cancel out, and b is simply equal to a half. What do you mean half? Because the pi's cancel out, and 2/4 reduces to a half. So right here, b is equal to 1 over 2. All right, here we go. Phase shift. Phase shift is equal to c over b. What is our phase shift equal to in this problem? Pi over 2. So I'm going to set c over b equal to pi over 2. But this time, I'm going to erase the b value because I know what the b value is. What was our b value? A half. So I'm going to put a half right there. Okay? When I cross multiply, what is a half times a pi? That's a half a pi. And that equals 2 times c. You're going to multiply both sides by a half. And you get c is equal to 1/4 of pi, which is pi over